Welcome once again, grade 5 and 6 boys and girls. Again, I'm Ms. Shamshuddin with you. Today, for our lesson, we are going to be developing a composition in which we will be explaining or giving details about a particular situation. I hope that you are ready. So let's get started. For our writing task, we will be looking at the following scenario. Let's read. The garbage collectors in your area went on a strike. As a result, there is a pileup of garbage. Write a composition telling how you organized your environment to be clean. Be sure to mention why the garbage collectors went on strike. Now you take your time and read that scenario again. Now remember, we learned some time ago that when writing a composition, there are particular things that you must do to ensure that you write a good composition. First, we must understand the task or what we have to write about. Doing this helps us in brainstorming our ideas. The writing task might present an activity or event that you might not have experienced or participated in, but you have to let your imagination kick in. Now remember, in the brainstorming stage of writing, we can think of suitable words which are related to the topic. We then can use a graphic organizer to help us list our ideas, or we can simply put those ideas in point form. So let's do that. Now, based on the scenario, we are asked to say how we organize to keep our environment clean since the garbage collectors went on strike. An important note given was, make sure you say why they strike. Now let's look at some relevant words that we may want to use in our writing. Environment, neighbors, organize, friends, smelly, clean, garbage, garbage bags, garbage bins, recycle. Again, these are just some of the words that may be used. I am sure you have many other words that you can think about. Now, if you look, you could also see that there is a graphic organizer that you may use. This is just a suggested way on how you can list your ideas. Now, what are some of the things we may want to mention as we relate to the situation? Here, I have the ideas listed in point form. You may want to talk a little about a clean environment. Name the area where you live. Explain the problem. State what caused the problem. What happened because of the problem. What you and others did to help deal with the problem. Then you may also want to include recommendations. You may have to bring a solution to the problem. And never forget, write a little about how you feel personally about the situation. Now that we have those ideas, we have to try to organize them so that we have a better guide to start our writing. Do remember that in organizing, we are using the parts of the composition and place what ideas would be expanded in the particular section. Remember, in your narrative writing or your descriptive writing, generally, you have to write an introduction, then there is the body and the conclusion. Again, we can use a simple organizer to put these ideas, or we could use letters indicating what ideas will be included in the specific part. So let's say you listed your ideas like I did in point form. I would simply decide which of these points would come in the introduction, which would come in the body, which I would place in the conclusion. When I decide points that will come in the introduction, I would simply write a capital I at the beginning or at the end of that point. So that will help me to know where I have to put it in my writing task. You may also choose this way to do it because of time. Time is very important, and so this might be a very easy strategy to use. Well, now that we have organized our ideas into sections, let's do our first draft of writing. Now you are free to give it a try on your own, but I will share with you a sample of what the composition could look like. Let's read back this scenario. The garbage collectors in your area went on strike. As a result, there is a pileup of garbage. Write a composition telling how you organize your environment to be clean. Be sure to mention why the garbage collectors went on strike. So here's our composition. No one likes to live in a smelly, unclean environment. But for us in Long Street, that was the sad situation that we were experiencing. The garbage collectors went on strike because they felt that they were being underpaid and they wanted a raise of pay. The relevant authorities were giving them a hard time in increasing their salaries, so they decided to go on a strike until these authorities come to a compromise with them. The garbage collectors in my community used to go around twice a week with their trucks, picking up and removing waste, recyclable goods, or yard debris from residents, commercial business centers, and public parks. But after the strike, the garbage on my street was piled up and attracting lots of rodents and stray animals, not forgetting the ugly stench that was affecting the persons in my street. So I decided to gather a few of my friends and host a meeting to see how we can clean up our environment. We had decided to go along the street and try to put the garbage in garbage bags. Then we went to the houses on our street and encouraged persons to burn their garbage or store them in garbage bags until the garbage collectors started to work again. Finally, we wrote a letter to the NDC chairman asking him to see how best he and other relevant authorities can come to a compromise so as to raise the garbage collector's salary so that they can start working again. We also recommended that they provide more bins and drums along the roadways so that the garbage can be disposed of properly. And it will also make the work easier for the garbage collectors. It was challenging but fun organizing the cleanup of our environment, and I felt happy that I was able to contribute my time and energy to making my community clean. And that's the composition on the garbage collectors and the strike. As you listened and you followed that story, were you able to connect to the details of the story? Based on the ideas that were brainstormed before, were you able to identify those in the story? Let's check. Were all the details included in the composition? Was there mention of what the situation was? Do we know where the situation occurred? Do we know who were the persons involved? How were they being affected? Is it clear how the situation was dealt with? What about the details to indicate feelings and emotion? Was there a clear ending to the composition? Now, if the answer to each of these questions was yes, it can be said that the writing objective was achieved or that the writer did a great job. Remember, when reviewing your composition, look for the basic elements such as characters or who were involved, the plot, setting, the conflict, resolution. The use of appropriate words to explain the situation and ensure the readers understand. Please think of your own ideas and try writing your composition. It might not have been a garbage situation in your area, but maybe it could have been the constant blackout or the water situation. Think of something and write. Also, remember once you have written your work to let someone read it when you are done. That's all I have for you in this lesson. Thank you for following me as we continue on the Writer's Crusade. Join me another time on the Learning Channel. Goodbye.